At my 26th birthday dinner, Ethan Hale pulled out an engagement ring. It wasn't for me. In front of all our friends, he slid the ring box across the table to Scarlett Moore. You like it, don't you? Take it. Have fun with it. The private dining room fell silent for a beat. Scarlett covered her mouth and laughed, reaching out to take the ring. Ethan turned to look at me. Elena, stop forcing me with your village legacy rules. Marriage isn't something you get to demand just because you want it. I stared at the ring I'd waited 7 years for, and suddenly, I laughed. He picked the ring back up and held it out to me. Stop making a scene and put it on. I didn't reach for it. I pushed Scarlett's hand forward instead. You put it on. It fits you perfectly. The music in the room was still playing when Ethan said, Have fun with it. The drum beat thudded against my eardrums. One after another, the ice bucket on the table billowed white mist, and glasses clinked together with a crisp ring. Scarlett sat on his left. I sat on his right. A cake sat between us. 26 thin candles stuck out of the frosting, their flames flickering in the air conditioning. Wax dripped down, pooling on the cream flowers. Today was my birthday. It was also the final deadline I'd given Ethan 3 months earlier. I'd told him, Ethan, I have to be engaged by the time I turned 26. It's not me forcing you the legacy rules of Hollowbrook Village. My grandmother passed the silver hearth flame to me. If I'm not settled by 26, I have to go back and take over the silver hearthier. Once I go back, I can't live full-time in Riverton for at least 3 years. He'd been staring down at documents back then, his pen scratching across the paper. Got it. I'd asked him, Do you really get it? He'd looked up, his brows furrowed. Elena, you've been with me since you were 20. You really think I'd leave you? I'd held on to that line for 3 months, right up until today. I was wearing the indigo dress my grandmother had sent me, tiny silver butterflies embroidered along the hem. I'd pulled my hair up and fastened it with a silver hair comb before I left the house. I'd stared at myself in the mirror for a long time. I'd thought tonight would bring an answer, even if it wasn't some grand proposal, even if he just slipped the ring on my finger and said, Let's build a life together. I would have taken it, but he'd given the ring to Scarlett. He'd sigh, Dee, have fun with it. Scarlett opened the ring box. The light hit the diamond, its facets stinging my eyes. She smiled at me. Elena, don't be mad. Ethan was just teasing me. I stared at the ring. 2 letters were engraved on the inside of the band. E and V. Ethan and Elena. I'd gone with him to custom make it 3 years earlier. His company had just survived its first round of funding. We'd had a little money in the bank for the first time, and he'd pulled me into a jewelry store we'd passed on the street. I'd lingered in front of the glass case for a second, and he'd dragged me inside. When the clerk asked for my size, he'd wrapped his hand around my ring finger and said he knew it. Of course, he knew it. Back when he was building his company, he'd slept in his office, eaten cold takeout, and doubled over from stomach pain so bad he could barely stand. I had taken cabs in the middle of the night to bring him medicine when he'd drunk himself sick at business dinners. I'd knelt in hotel bathrooms, dabbing his face with a wet towel. When his first contract had been stolen, I'd sat beside him rewriting proposals until dawn, my eyes bloodshot. Back then, he'd held my hand and said, Elena, once I'm on my feet, I'll marry you. I'd waited from 20 to 26, waited until his company moved into the most expensive office tower in Riverton, waited until his suits went from cheap off the rack to custom made, waited until everyone around him called me Mrs. Hale, only he never said the words. Tonight, he'd finally spoken. He'd said marriage wasn't something I got to demand just because I wanted it. My fingers curled into fists under the table, my nails digging into my palm. I didn't cry. My eyes burned so dry they act. Someone tried to smooth things over. Ethan, it's Elena's birthday. Don't joke like that. Yeah, she's waited for you for years. Don't be an Ethan leaned back against the sofa, his shirt collar unbuttoned, twisting a lighter in his hand. Click, a flame flared up. Click. It went out again. He looked at me. I'm being, and she's the one throwing all her village rules in my face, forcing me to propose tonight. Is that not behavior? My throat tightened. Ethan, I told you 3 months in advance. I didn't make you get down on one knee tonight. I just asked if you wanted to build a future with me. He laughed sharply. Build a future? Elena, you live with me. You have my secondary bank card. My mother accepts you. What more could you possibly want? I looked him in the eye. I want a title, a commitment. He threw the lighter onto the table. Metal hit the glass turntable with a sharp, jarring sound. A title? When did you start caring about this stupid, shallow stuff? Scarlett closed the ring box gently, her fingers pressing down on the lid. Ethan, Elena is probably just insecure. She didn't finish the sentence. Ethan shot her a look and she fell silent immediately, but the smile was still on her lips. That tiny smile twisted in my stomach like a knife. I reached out and plucked the candles from the cake one by one. The flame burned my fingertips, but I didn't let go. Someone yelled, Elena, careful. Ethan sat up straighter. Elena, what are you doing? I dropped all the candles into an empty wine glass. The flames went out. The smell of smoke mixed with cream drifting up my nose. I looked up at him, making a wish. He frowned. What the hell is wrong with you now? I said, I wish Ethan Hale stays forever sober. No one in the room spoke. Ethan's face darkened. Who the hell are you being sarcastic to? I stood up. My legs were numb, my heels sinking into the carpet, my ankles weak. But I stood straight to myself to finally see exactly what kind of man I've waited 7 years for. Someone gasped. Ethan's eyes went cold. Elena. Every time he said my full name like that, he was waiting for me to back down. I used to, when he was stressed from work. I'd back down when his mother was critical of me. I'd back down when rumors spread about him and Scarlett. I'd back down because I'd always thought he was just tired. He did not love me. He just didn't know how to show it. But tonight, the ring box was in Scarlett's hands. And suddenly, 7 years of waiting felt like the stupidest thing I'd ever done. Ethan held out his hand. Give me the ring. Scarlett's smile froze. Ethan, give it to me. Scarlett bit her lip and handed him the box. Ethan opened it and took out the ring. He stood up and walked over to me. The room's light fell on his shoulders, and he still looked so sure of himself, like all I had to do was take the out he was offering, and everything would go back to normal. He held the ring out to me, stopped making a scene, and put it on. This ends tonight. The ring hovered in front of my face. I saw the letters on the inside. E and V. Once I thought they were a promise. Now they just burned. I lifted my hand. Ethan's shoulders relaxed a little. The next second, I grabbed Scarlett's wrist and pulled her forward. She stumbled, her wrist slamming into Ethan's palm. The ring fell into her hand. I said, You put it on. It fits you perfectly. Scarlett's face went white. A vein throbbed in Ethan's temple. Elena, don't push your luck. I laughed. Luck. Ethan, you threw the thing I waited 7 years for at another woman to play with. And now you're lecturing me about luck. I grabbed my bag off the back of the chair. The chain scraped the edge of the table, knocking over a wine glass. Red wine spilled across the white tablecloth, dripping down the edge. Drip, drip. Ethan grabbed my wrist. His grip was tight. Where are you going? I stared at his hand wrapped around my wrist. I'd held that hand for 7 years. In winter, when his hands were cold, I'd tucked them into my coat pocket. In summer, when he drove, I'd wiped the sweat off his palms. Now his fingers felt like an iron band. I pried his fingers off one by one. Home. He laughed coldly. Our home. No. I looked up at him. My home. When I pushed open the private room door, cold hallway air washed over me. The smell of alcohol and cigarette smoke was left behind. It was raining outside. The stone steps at the club entrance glistened in the rain. I stood under the awning and heard footsteps rushing behind me. Someone called out, Elena, don't do this. Ethan's just stubborn. He didn't mean it. I didn't turn around. My phone buzzed in my bag. Once. Twice. I pulled it out. It was Grandma Lara from the village. Her name flashed on the screen. I answered on the other end. I heard the creak of a wooden door and rain tapping on tile roofs. Elena, after midnight, you'll be 26. The light's on for you at Silver Hearthall. If you found someone, send their name back. If not, catch the first bus home tomorrow morning. My throat tightened. Grandma, yes, I'm coming home. There was a pause on the line. You're sure? I'm sure. What about the Hale boy? I looked out at the rain. Ethan stood a few feet away. He didn't have an umbrella. His white shirt was damp at the shoulders from the mist, sticking to his frame. He stared at me, anger burning in his eyes. I said into the phone, I don't want him anymore. Grandma didn't press. Good. The key to the Italier is in the bottom of the wooden chest in your room. Someone will meet you at the village gate tomorrow. The call ended. Ethan walked over. Who was that? I put my phone back in my bag. Family. What did they say? I'm going home. His brows furrowed. Elena, are you really doing this? Are you really acting out this much? I stepped down off the steps. Rain hit my face, cold and sharp. Ethan grabbed me. I'll have my driver take you back. No need. Do you have to humiliate me in front of all these people? I stopped. Rain hammered against the awning, loud and steady. Ethan, I'm not the one who's humiliated. He stared at me. I pulled my arm free. I am. I wore the dress my grandmother embroidered by hand. I wore the silver comb she gave me. I sat there waiting for you to say one word, and you handed that ring to Scarlett. When she laughed, I heard people snickering behind me. When you said I was forcing you to marry me, I saw your friends look away. And now you're asking me if I'm humiliating you. My chest heaved, rain dripping down my chin. Ethan, I've already been humiliated enough. His jaw tightened after a long moment. He said, I didn't actually mean to give it to her. I just wanted you to calm down. I nodded. I am calm. That's why I don't want it anymore. His gaze darkened. Don't want the ring or don't want me. I looked him in the eye. Neither. Ethan's face drained of color. He reached for me. I stepped back. Don't touch me. His hand hung in midair. Scarlett ran out behind him, holding an umbrella. Ethan, your shirt's wet. She held the umbrella over his head, then looked at me. Elena, tonight was my fault. I'll give the ring back to you. She pulled the ring out of her bag. It lay in her palm. The rain misted, dulling its shine. She held it out. Don't fight with Ethan over me. I looked at her. Scarlett, you knew the ring had our initials engraved inside, didn't you? Her fingers tightened. I stepped closer. You also knew he was going to take it out tonight, didn't you? She bit her lip. Ethan frowned. Elena, don't take this out on her. I laughed out loud. Rain got in my mouth. Bitter. I haven't even said anything, and you're already defending her. Scarlett's eyes filled with tears, her voice dropping. Elena, I really was just joking. If you don't like it, I won't touch Ethan's things anymore. I reached out and closed her palm around the ring. Don't wait for later. Put it on now. Scarlett froze. Ethan snapped. Elena, I turned to look at him. You said to take it and have fun with it, didn't you? So have fun. She won't put it on because she knows it's tainted. I won't put it on because I think it's disgusting. Ethan's breathing grew heavy. He stepped forward, his shoulder knocking the umbrella aside, rain hitting his hair directly. Say that again. I opened my bag and pulled out my keys. The key to his apartment. The silver keychain still had the braided leather cord I'd made for him. The cord was damp from the rain, its color darkening. I placed the keys in his palm. I already said it. Your apartment, your bank card, your ring. I'm giving it all back. From today on, I don't owe you anything. And I'm not waiting for you anymore. His hand clenched tight around the keys. The metal dug into his palm with a faint crunch. I turned and walked into the rain. Behind me, I heard Scarlett's voice. Ethan, she's leaving. Ethan didn't follow. I knew he wouldn't. For 7 years, every time we fought, he'd stood there waiting for me to come back. He was used to it. I was used to it. But this time, I didn't look back. I didn't go back to Ethan's apartment. I took a cab to the small apartment I'd rented in secret 2 years earlier. It wasn't big, one bedroom, one living room on the sixth floor of an old building with no elevator. When I'd rented it, I hadn't even known what I was preparing for. Maybe when a string inside you stays stretched tight for too long, it finds its own escape route. I dragged my soaking wet skirt up the stairs. Two of the hallway lights were out, the paint peeling off the walls. My shoes squatched on the concrete steps. I stuck the key in the lock, my fingers shaking twice before it turned. The apartment smelled faintly of cedar. A few cardboard boxes sat by the window. Inside were my ID, my design drafts, the silversmith tools my grandmother had sent me, a few sets of clothes, and a wooden chest. I knelt on the floor and dragged it out. A brass key was pressed into the bottom. A silver butterfly was carved into the handle. It was the key to the silver hearth. Before my grandmother died, she'd pressed it into my hand. She'd said, "Elena, you can love someone, but never hand someone else the key to your own door." I'd cried in her arms back then, told her I had Ethan. She'd stroked my head and said nothing more. Now remembering the look in her eyes, a chill ran down my spine. I pulled out my phone, canceled the recurring housekeeping service for Ethan's apartment, unlin his secondary bank card, and blocked his mother's number, and removed her from my contacts. I opened the closet and packed the clothes I'd left there into a suitcase. At 1:00 in the morning, Ethan called. I watched the screen light up, then go dark, light up again, dark again. On the seventh ring, he sent a message. "Are you done throwing your tantrum?" I didn't reply. A second message came right after. "It's pouring outside. Stop being ridiculous." Third, "I'll send the driver to pick you up tomorrow morning." Fourth, "Elena, that's enough." I flipped my phone face down on the table. Only the sound of rain filled the room. I changed out of my wet clothes and took a shower. Hot water hit my shoulders, burning my skin red. I looked down at my ring finger. It was empty, but I swore I could still feel the faint outline of a band. I scrubbed at it until my skin ached, then stopped. At 5 in the morning, I dragged my suitcase downstairs. The rain had stopped. Pale gray light hung over the horizon. There was an oat latte stand at the entrance of the old neighborhood, steam rising from the pot. I bought one. The paper cup burned my hand, and I held it until my fingertips slowly regained feeling. The airport shuttle stop was on the corner. I just walked over when a black Bentley pulled up to the curb. The window rolled down. Ethan sat in the back seat. He hadn't slept. Dark circles under his eyes, but he'd changed his clothes, his hair styled. He was still the polished, put together Ethan Hale. He looked at my suitcase, his gaze freezing. "You're actually leaving." I took a sip of my oat latte. It was barely sweet, strong with oat flavor. "Yeah." He got out of the car. "Where are you going?" "Back to the village." "For how long?" I looked at him. "At least 3 years." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Elena, don't threaten me with that. You've heard the village legacy rules 100 times. I thought you were just saying that. I also thought you'd remember them." He fell silent. I dragged my suitcase toward the bus stop. He followed. "What about your job?" I already handed in my resignation. "What about your things at the apartment?" "I don't want them." "What about 7 years?" I stopped. The morning wind blew, damp and cool. I turned to look at him. "Ethan, you're asking about 7 years now. When you handed that ring to Scarlett last night, did you think about 7 years?" He closed his eyes. "I told you that was just me being angry, but I heard it." "Elena." His voice dropped. "I didn't want you to leave." I smiled a little. "You just wanted me to hurt." His face went rigid. I said, "You knew exactly what I was most afraid of. I was afraid of the village rules, of letting my grandmother down, of waiting for you forever. So, you used that ring to stab me. You wanted to make sure I knew there were consequences for pushing you, and you succeeded." "Ethan." I got the message. The shuttle pulled into the stop. The door opened and the driver called out, "All aboard for the airport." I lifted my suitcase. Ethan reached out to stop me. I won't let you go. I looked up at him. Who are you to stop me? His Adam's apple bobbed. Because we've been together 7 years. I pulled out my phone and opened my photo album right in front of him. There was a photo from last night. In the private room, Ethan was handing the ring to Scarlett. Her hand was already reaching out. There was a faint, cold smile on his lips. A friend had sent it to me. The caption read, Elena, he was drunk. Don't take it to heart. I held the photo up to his face. 7 years doesn't outweigh this. I deleted the photo. Then I deleted his contact. Ethan's phone buzzed once. He looked down at the notification disappearing, then snapped his head up. Elena, I got on the bus. The door closed. He banged on the window once. The driver leaned out and yelled, Hey, what the hell are you doing? Get out of the way. Ethan stood outside, his palm pressed to the glass. I sat by the window. The bus pulled away slowly. His figure receded behind us. He was still staring at me. I finished the last of my oat latte. I crumpled the paper cup and threw it in the trash. When the plane landed in Cedar Ridge Highlands, the sky was bright and clear. Mountain fog clung to the runway and the air smelled of pine, wild grass, and damp earth. I walked out of the airport and the car from the village was waiting outside. Archer was driving. He was Grandma Lara's grandson, 2 years older than me. When we were kids, he'd always followed me around. Fishing the silver charms I dropped in the creek out of the water for me. Later, he'd gone to the city to study tourism management. I'd stayed in Riverton, building Ethan's company with him. We hadn't seen each other in years. He was wearing a black windbreaker, standing by the car with an umbrella in his hand. When he saw me, he reached for my suitcase. Elena, you've lost weight. I smiled. You uvego tentalle. He put the suitcase in the trunk. Grandma is waiting for you at the hall. All the village council elders are there too. I nodded. The car pulled out of the airport, heading into the mountains. Buildings grew fewer and fewer, bamboo forests thicker and thicker. The winding mountain road made my stomach tight. I leaned against the window, watching fog roll down the hillsides. My phone stayed silent. Ethan hadn't called again. Maybe he'd finally gone to sleep. Maybe he thought I'd be back in a couple of days. I turned my phone off when the car pulled through the village gate. The sound of silver bells drifted on the wind. Wooden cottages stacked one after another. Corn and red chili peppers hanging under the eaves. A creek ran through the village, the stone paths glistening from the rain. Silver Hearth Hall was at the far end. A crowd stood at the entrance. Grandma Lara leaned on a cane, her hair completely white, a pair of old silver hoop earrings in her ears. When she saw me, her eyes glistened for a second. Then she composed herself. You're home. I walked over and knelt in front of her. I'm home. She placed her hand on top of my head. Her palm was rough, smelling of silver polish. No outsider's name to bring back. No. Someone in the crowd sighed. Someone else muttered. The Hale boy never came through. After all, city men are all talk. Grandma Lara glanced back over her shoulder. The voices stopped immediately. She helped me up and led me into the hall. A silver lamp burned on the altar. Its wick was long and thin, the flame steady. The names of every head silversmith in our lineage hung on the wall. My grandmother's name was on the last line, Lavinia Voss. She'd never married with her own 2 hands. She'd sold our village's silverwork across the country. And she'd raised me. Grandma Lara placed the brass key in my palm. Elena Voss, unbreathed at 26. By village legacy, you shall inherit the silver hearth flame. From today forward, the Italier ledgers, the workshop, and the roster of master silversmiths are under your care. You may marry or you may not. But for 3 years, the silver hearth flame may not leave your side. I clenched the key tight. I accept. She stared at me. Once you accept, you cannot run back to the city for a man halfway through. I looked up at her. I won't, even if he kneels at the village gate. My throat tightened. Then it relaxed. He won't kneel. Grandma Lara laughed softly. All the better. After the ceremony, I changed into the village's ceremonial silver attire. It was heavy, layers of silver pieces weighing on my shoulders. Every step I took, silver bells rang. Archer stood in the doorway holding a bowl of spiced cinnamon tea. Drink this. I took it. The cinnamon burned my nose, stinging my eyes. He looked at the burn on my fingertip from last night. I pulled my hand back, pulling out candles. He didn't ask why. He just said, "The atelier needs someone who knows online branding. You used to do brand strategy for Ethan. It'll come in handy." I looked up at him. He smiled a little. "Coming home isn't a backup plan. It's your path." I held the tea, the steam warming my face. The block of ice in my chest cracked open. Ethan didn't realize I wasn't coming back until the third day. That day, I was taking inventory in the Italier's backyard. Boxes of vintage silver pieces were being brought out of the storage room. Bracelets, necklaces, brooches, hair ornaments, each with its own serial number. I was checking them against the ledger, my fingers covered in silver dust. Archer was handing out tools to the new silver smithing trainee nearby. Grandma Lara sat on the porch, sunning herself when I turned my phone on. Messages flooded in. Ethan had sent more than 40. First day, where are you? Text me when you land. Elena, don't make me worry. Second day, I found out you resigned. How long are you going to keep this up? My mother's asking when you're coming back. Third day, I haven't touched your things at the apartment. I put the ring away. Scarlett cried all afternoon. Said you misunderstood her. Come back. Well, talk. The last one was just sent. Send me your address. I read it for 2 seconds, then turned my phone off. Archer handed me a silver bracelet. This one's cracked. I put my phone back in my pocket. Mark it as damaged. I'll fix it tonight. Grandma Lara lifted her eyelids. The Hale boy? Yeah. Looking for you. Yeah. She set her teacup down. Don't reply too fast. I smiled. I won't. She nodded. That's my girl. She's got spine. That afternoon, Ethan called the atelier's landline. Mia, the 17-year-old silver smithing trainee, answered. Her voice was bright and clear. Hello, Silver Arthur. Whatever was said on the other end. Mia turned and yelled to me, Ms. Voss, there's a man on the line for you. Sounds like he's got a permanent chip on his shoulder. Everyone in the yard laughed. I walked over, handed over. I pressed the phone to my ear. Ethan's voice was low and tight. Elena, I said, what do you want? There was a pause on the line. What did they just call you? Head Silvermouth. What the hell is that? I looked at the silver sheets drawing in the yard. Ethan, just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's nonsense. His breathing grew heavy. Send me your address. No, I went to your hometown. No one would tell me where you are. That means they did the right thing. He laughed coldly. You think hiding in the mountains means I can't find you. My finger traced the edge of the ledger. You can try, but even if you find it, you won't get in. Elena, do you really have to burn every bridge? I said, I'm just going home. We didn't break up. We did. I didn't agree to that. I laughed out loud. Grandma Lara looked up at me. I said into the phone, breaking up isn't a contract. I don't need your signature. There was a sound of something crashing on the other end. Ethan's voice was strained. Then what was 7 years? I looked at the old wooden sign above Silverheart Hall's entrance. The sign was cracked from wind and rain, but the letters were still clear. I said it was me being blind. The line went dead silent. I hung up. Mia leaned over. Ms. Boss, was he really that handsome? I thought for a second. Decent. Then, why didn't you want him? I picked up a silver hammer and tapped it against the cracked bracelet. Ding. The sound was clear and bright. There are lots of pretty things. Once they're dirty, you can't wear them anymore. Mia nodded like she sort of got it. That night, the Italier had its first live stream. It was the first thing I'd done since coming back. I'd sorted the village's silver pieces by their stories, shot videos, started the live stream, and told the story behind every pattern. Archer ran the camera. Mia modeled the pieces. Grandma Lara sat in the back. keeping watch. 10 minutes into the stream. We hit 1,000 viewers. 30 minutes in. The first batch of silver butterfly bracelets sold out. Comments flew across the screen. The head silversmith has such a calm voice. This silverwork is incredible. I want to visit the village. I sat under the light, picking up a brooch. Silver light fell on the back of my hand. This piece is called homecoming. Women wear it when they leave home and when they come back. A door isn't there to lock you in. It's there to remind you you can always come back. Right as I finished speaking, a huge donation popped up on the screen. Username E. My fingers paused. Archer looked at me. I turned off the donation notification. Thank you for the donation. But Silver Earthier doesn't accept unsolicited money. If you'd like to purchase silverwork, please place an order. If you're just here to watch, please enjoy quietly. The username never appeared again. Scarlett showed up first. She got there faster than Ethan. That afternoon, a white sedan parked under the drum tower at the village gate. Scarlett was wearing a tweed suit, her stilettos sinking into the stone path. Twisting with every step, Mia ran into the atelier. Ms. Voss, there's a city girl at the gate asking for you, and she's wearing a diamond ring. I was halfway through pulling a silver thread. What ring? Mia blinked. A diamond ring, but she's wearing it on her middle finger. I put down my tools and walked out. Scarlett stood under the drum tower. She was indeed wearing that ring. The ENV ring in the sunlight. The diamond glinted so bright it hurt to look at. When she saw me, her eyes first scanned the silver ceremonial apron I was wearing, then landed on Archer standing behind me. Elena. Her voice was soft. I came to apologize. A crowd had gathered at the village gate. Grandma Lara was standing on the porch, leaning on her cane, watching. I walked up to her, apologizing while wearing my old ring. Scarlett touched the ring on her finger. I didn't mean to. Ethan said you didn't want it anymore, so I wore it to keep it safe. I stared at her hand. It looks right at home on you. A flicker of panic crossed her eyes. Quickly, she lowered her voice even more. Elena, I know you're mad at me, but after you left, Ethan was miserable. He didn't go to the office for 3 days. He's been looking for you nonstop. I said nothing. She stepped forward. Come back. You two have 7 years together. You shouldn't throw it all away over me. I looked at her. Scarlett, did you come here to apologize or to convince me to come back so you two can keep walking all over me? Her eyes filled with tears. People around us started frowning. She sniffled. That's not what I'm doing. I just think you're being selfish. Ethan's already humbled himself. So much for you. He's never had to beg anyone in his life. What more do you want from him? I laughed. Archer clicked his tongue softly behind me. Scarlett looked at him. Who are you? I said none of your business. She bit her lip, then suddenly took off the ring and held it out to me. Then I'll give it back to you. Just stop being mad. I didn't take it. The ring hung in midair. The wind at the village gate blew her hair. Tears rolled down her face. She looked perfectly pitiful if we'd been in Riverton. Ethan's friends would probably be saying I was being unreasonable again, but this was my village. Grandma Lara tapped her cane on the ground. What are you crying for? Scarlett jumped. Grandma walked over, her eyes landing on the ring. Girl, have you worn this ring? Scarlett nodded, then shook her head. I just worn it as worn it. Grandma Lara cut her off. Our village rule. You don't touch another person's promise token. If you touch it, you either take it or you pay for it. Scarlett's face went white. It's not silver. It's a diamond ring. Grandma Lara laughed coldly. A promise is worth more than any silver. You touch another person's promise, then come to their door crying. Did no one teach you manners in the city? People around us laughed softly. Scarlett's hand started shaking. She looked at me. Elena, you're just going to let them humiliate me. I stepped forward and took the ring. Scarlett's eyes lit up. The next second, I turned and walked to the creek. Water rushed over the stones, clear and cold. I lifted my hand. The ring fell into the water. Plop! A tiny splash. Scarlett screamed. Are you insane? I turned around. Now you don't have to give it back. She lunged at me, but Archer blocked her. His voice was calm. Ms. Moore, there are security cameras at the village gate. If you lay a hand on her, we'll call the police. Scarlett's chest heaved. She pointed at me. Elena, you'll regret this. I wiped my hand on my apron. Ethan said that, too. You two need new material. Scarlett glared at me, then turned and walked away. Her stilettos clicked against the stone path, loud and frantic. Before she got in the car, she looked back at me. The pitiful act was gone from her face. All that was left was resentment. That night, word spread through Riverton's social circle. They said I'd gone back to my hometown and hooked up with a guy from the village. They said I'd thrown a fit when Ethan wouldn't propose, then thrown the ring in the river. They said my family had old-fashioned rules that forced men to marry into the woman's family. A friend sent me screenshots. Elena, do you want to clear this up? I read them, then sent them to Archer. Archer replied quickly on it. 10 minutes later, the Silver Hearthier official account posted a video. It was the full, unedited footage of Scarlett standing at the village gate wearing the ring. Me apologizing while wearing my old ring. Her saying, Ethan said you didn't want it anymore. So, I wore it to keep it safe. Then her calling me selfish, saying, Ethan had already humbled himself. The caption was one line. Silver Earth does not welcome guests who steal and were other people's promised tokens. The comments blew up. Ethan showed up at the village gate the next day. He didn't call ahead. He was wearing a black coat, clutching his car keys, standing under the drum tower. It had just rained in the mountains. The stone path slippery. His leather shoes were caked in mud. When Mia ran to tell me I was measuring a customer's wrist for a bracelet. Ms. Voss, that chip-in-his-helder guy is here. My hand didn't stop. Let him wait. He said his name is Ethan Hale. I know. The customer looked at me. Ex-boyfriend. I nodded. She held her wrist steady, then make him wait longer. I smiled. He waited 2 hours. Ethan stood there from noon until afternoon. Everyone passing through the village stared at him. Some asked if he needed a tour ticket. Some asked if he was lost. Little kids circled high. Mister, are you here to see the head silversmith? Ethan's face grew darker and darker. After 3 hours, he finally snapped and stormed into the Archer, blocked the door. Mr. Hale, do you have an appointment? Ethan didn't even look at him. Move. Archer didn't move. The atelier has customers today, Ethan said coldly. I'm Elena's boyfriend. The yard went dead silent. I looked up. Ex-boyfriend. Ethan looked at me. He'd lost weight in 3 days. His eyes were sunken, stubble on his jaw. He stared at the silver apron I was wearing, at the measuring tape in my hand, then at Archer. Are you living with him? I handed the measuring tape to Mia. Ethan, that's the first thing you say when you walk in. He stepped closer. Answer me. I held up a hand to stop Archer from speaking. No. Ethan's expression softened slightly. I continued. Even if I was, it's none of your business. That flicker of softness shattered immediately. Elena, do you have to talk to me like this? What did you come here to hear? He pulled a box out of his coat pocket, a black velvet box. I recognized it. It wasn't the old ring. I had a new ring made. He opened it. Inside was an even bigger diamond ring. Under the Italier's lights, it glinted harshly. Out of place. Come back to Riverton with me. We'll get engaged. A few gasps went around the yard. Mia's eyes went wide. Grandma Lara sat on the porch, tapping her teacup lid gently against the rim. I stared at the ring. If this had been 6 months earlier, I probably would have held out my hand. If this had been before last night, I might have cried, but now, it just felt absurd. Ethan, you think I threw away that ring because it was too small? His hand froze. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? His Adam's apple bobbed. I know I went too far that night. I'll handle Scarlett. You want to get engaged? Fine. We can have a wedding. 2. If you want to have the ceremony here in the village, I'll do that. He spoke fast, every line sounding like he was negotiating a business deal. I looked at him. You still don't get it. He frowned. I'm here. I agreed to marry you. What more do you want? I laughed slowly. See, every word you say is I agree. Like these 7 years. I've just been waiting for your approval. Ethan's face went pale. I stepped forward. I was waiting for you to want it, not for you to finally give in because I left. Wind blew through the yard, silver pieces chiming softly. His fingers tightened around the box. Elena, don't close this door completely. I'm here to give you an out. I nodded. Then take it back. I'm not taking it. His eyes went completely cold. You're going to throw away 7 years over one stupid fight. It wasn't one fight. I looked him in the eye. Every word clear. It was every time you made me wait. Every time you made me swallow my feelings. Every time I needed you to stand up for me. You told me to be reasonable. Ethan, when that ring fell in the creek, I didn't feel sad. I just felt like my hand was finally empty. All the color drained from his face. Scarlett's voice suddenly rang out from the doorway. Ethan. She stood there, her eyes red and swollen. I knew I'd find you here. Ethan turned around. Who told you to come? Scarlett bit her lip. Everyone's attacking me online. You wouldn't answer my calls. So I had to come find you. She looked at me happy now. Elena. Before I could speak, Grandma Lara stood up. All of you get out. Scarlett froze. Grandma tapped her cane on the ground. This is a working atelier, not a stage for your drama. Ethan took a deep breath. Staring at me. I'll come back tonight to talk. I said, don't bother. He set the ring box on the table. You'll take it. I picked up the box, walked to the door, and dropped it in the lost and found basket for tourists. Whoever lost it can claim it. Ethan stared at the basket, his mouth moving. He didn't say a word. Ethan didn't leave. He checked into the only boutique mountain lodge outside the village. The owner came to the Italier that night to buy earrings, grinning from ear to ear. Ms. Boss, your ex-boyfriend booked our most expensive room, $8.80 a night for 7 days. I asked him if he wanted lemon herb salmon. He said, whatever. Then he drank 3 bottles of water because it was too spicy. Mia laughed so hard she banged the table. I kept fixing the silver hair comb, tapping the silver hammer steadily. Don't make fun of the guests. The owner leaned in. Is he really here to beg you to go back? I didn't look up. He's here to prove he can still get whatever he wants. Grandma Lara heard that and huffed, then let him hit a wall. Ethan started showing up at the Italier every day. First day, he bought a silver butterfly bracelet. Second day, he bought a brooch. Third day, he bought a hair ornament. Every time, he never haggled. Every time, he just stared at me. I handed him his receipt. Thank you. Come again. He looked at me. That's all you're going to say. I said, that's what I say to all customers. I'm just a customer. You paid, didn't you? He had no reply. On the 5th day, the atelier got a big order. A luxury hotel in Riverton was doing a heritage craft theme exhibition, and they specifically requested to partner with Silverthier when the contract came through. I saw the client's company name and paused. It was Ethan's tourism subsidiary. Archer saw it too. Take it. I flipped through the contract. The pay was extremely high. The exposure was great. But there was one clause. The project lead was required to be on site in Riverton for 2 weeks. I closed the contract. No, Archer nodded. I'll turn it down right as he called. The person on the other end switched immediately. Ethan's voice came through. You can't separate business from personal. I took the phone. I can. That's why I'm turning it down. Silverthier can't stay hidden in the mountains forever if you want to grow. You don't get to teach me that. You're turning down a huge opportunity just because it's from me. I looked at the ledger spread out on the table. Ethan, you're doing it again. You hold the things I want over my head, then wait for me to back down. He went silent. I said, 7 years ago, I would have backed down. Not now. His voice was rough. Elena, I just want to help you. If you really want to help, leave me alone. After I hung up, Archer looked at me. That was actually a really good opportunity. I know. Then why turn it down? I fed the contract into the shredder. The paper crunched as the gears chewed it up because every path he offers has a string attached. Archer looked at me for a few seconds. The State Museum has a heritage craft exhibition next month. I submitted our materials a while back, and I got a reply this morning. I looked up. He handed me his phone. The email read, Silver Earth selected for Cedar Ridge, Highlands, New Generation Heritage Craft Exhibition. I froze. Archer smiled. Riverton isn't the only place with opportunities. In that moment, I heard the wind chimes in the yard ring for a long time. That night, I announced the museum selection on the live stream. Comments flooded the screen. Ethan's username appeared again. This time he didn't donate. He just sent one line. Congratulations. I saw it. I didn't reply. After the stream ended, Mia ran and holding her phone. Ms. Voss. Scarlett posted something again. She handed me her phone. Scarlett had written a long post. She said she and Ethan had grown up together. She said I'd used our 7 years together to force him into marriage. She said I was playing the victim and building a fake persona in the village. She'd also posted a few photos of me and Archer standing together. The angles were cruel, making it look like we were standing extremely close. The comments were full of hate. Did she rebound that fast? No wonder she threw the ring. Ethan's so unlucky. Mia was so angry her eyes were red. How can she say that? I took the phone. I swiped to the last photo. It was Archer blocking Scarlett from me. Her caption read, Maybe I was always the extra one. I handed the phone back to Mia. Call the police. Mia blinked. Huh, I said and sent a cease and desist letter. Archer stood in the doorway. I already compiled all the evidence. I looked at him. He held up a folder. Her payment records for paid trolls. Screenshots of the rumors. Full security footage from the day she came to the village. More than enough to take her down. I smiled. Then let's send it. Scarlett's retaliation came fast. She didn't wait for the cease and desist letter to go out. The next morning, dozens of clickbait tabloid accounts posted videos at the same time. The headlines were vile. Heritage craft silversmith caught cheating. Rich man's ex hides in mountains to fake new identity. Forced proposal failed. Moved on to childhood friend immediately. The videos cut together every frame of me and Archer together. Him handing me spiced cinnamon tea. Him helping me carry boxes. Him standing in front of me to block Scarlett, set to suggestive music. It made my stomach turn. The atelier's live stream was flooded. The comments were full of slurs. Mia was about to cry. Grandma Lara sat in the hall, her face dark with anger. I turned off the stream. We're not selling today. Mia wiped her eyes. Ms. Voss, we didn't do anything wrong. I know. Then why turn it off? I picked up my phone because if we're going to fight back, we don't do it in front of our customers. Archer laughed softly. I went live on the official account immediately. The camera was pointed at Silver Harthall. I sat in front of the lens. The names of every past head, silversmith behind me. Viewership hit 100,000 fast. Hate comments scrolled nonstop. I didn't turn off comments. I pulled out the first piece of evidence. Scarlett Moore, youngest daughter of the Moore family in Riverton. These 3 are her payment records for paid trolls. These 5 are her chat logs with the troll group admin. This is the full unedited video of her at the village gate wearing my ring with every line I spoke. Archer put the evidence on screen. The comments slowed down. I continued. I was with Ethan Hale for 7 years. In those 7 years, I never took a single house from him. I never took shares in his company. I never asked him to buy my family cars or houses because I don't have parents. I grew up in this village. Silver Hearth Theatlier was left to me by my grandmother. Head silversmith isn't a persona. It's the res pawns I inherited when I turned 26. I pulled out the second set of documents. These are the 37 brand strategies I wrote for Ethan's company. These are the records of the money I sent him to live on during his first 3 years building the company. These are the host pita L forms I signed as his caregiver when he was admitted for stomach ulcers. This is the recording of his mother's first visit to Riverton when she told me my village background was unfit for her son. I played the recording. Ethan's mother's voice came through the phone. Elena, it's not that I don't like you, but Ethan's status is different now. All your silver and bells, they're not appropriate for someone in his position. You can stay with him, but don't rush him about marriage. The comments completely flipped. Holy 7 years and no commitment. She built his company with him, and he treated her like that. Scarlett stole her ring and played the victim. Where's Ethan? Is he dead? I looked at the camera. Ethan, if you're watching, listen carefully. I never forced you to marry me. I just asked before I turned 26 if you wanted to build a future with me. You gave the ring to Scarlett. I left. That's all there is to it. I pulled out the last set of documents. As for Scarlett's rumors about me and Archer, Archer is my business partner at Silverarthier and the head of the village's tourism project. All our work contracts are right here. If you want to see them, I'll show you every page. Suddenly, a co-host request popped up on the screen. Username. Emil looked at me. Accept it. I stared at the name. After a few seconds, I clicked accept. Ethan's face appeared on screen. He was in his lodge room. He looked like he hadn't slept all night. His eyes bloodshot. He spoke. His voice. Elena. Comments went crazy. I said, Mr. Hale, speak. He looked at me. His lips pressed tight. I didn't know about Scarlett's posts. I laughed. First thing you do is throw her under the bus. His face went even wider. That's not what I'm doing. Then speak. His Adam's apple bobbed. After a long moment, he spoke into the camera. I gave the ring to Scarlett. That night, I was deliberately trying to hurt Elena. She never forced me to marry her. I was the one who kept stringing her along. Everything Scarlett posted is a lie. Comments flooded with keep going. I looked at him. Anything else? Ethan's eyes slowly turned red. I'm sorry. Sorry to who? He stared at the screen, his voice shaking. I'm sorry to Elena. I wasted 7 years of her life. The room went silent. Grandma Lara looked at the screen and huffed. I said, apology accepted. Call ended. Ethan panicked. Elena, wait. My finger paused. He leaned in close to the camera. I'll come to Silver Hearth tomorrow. I'll apologize to you in front of everyone. Can you just give me one more chance? I looked at him. The man on screen finally didn't look so sure of himself anymore. There was panic, fear, and long overdue pain in his eyes. But my heart was calm, like a stone path washed clean by rain. Cold, clear. I said, no. Then I hung up. Ethan still came. The next day it poured rain in the village. Mountain fog hung low, rain pouring thick and fast from the eaves. A crowd stood in front of Silver Hearthall. The people from the State Museum were there, too. It was supposed to be the day we handed over the exhibition pieces. Ethan walked through the village gate, holding a black umbrella. No driver, no Scarlett behind him, just him. His pants were soaked all the way up, his shoes caked in mud. When he reached the hall, he closed his umbrella. Rain dripped off the ribs onto the ground at his feet. Grandma Lara sat at the front of the hall. Mr. Hale, what are you here for? Ethan looked at me to apologize. He pulled something out of his pocket. It wasn't a ring. It was an old silver charm. I recognized it immediately. I'd given it to him when I was 21. His company had lost its first funding round, and he'd sat on an overpass smoking that night. I'd tied the silver charm to his car keys. Our village says silver charms ward off bad luck. Keep it with you. He'd carried it ever since, until last year, when Scarlett said the silver charm was tacky and didn't match his car. I'd never seen it again. Now it lay in his palm, its edges worn dull. Ethan said, I kept it this whole time. I didn't take it. Keeping it doesn't mean you valued it. His fingers trembled. Then he did something no one expected. He knelt down in front of Silver Harthal. His knees hit the wet stone flagstones with a heavy, dull thud. The crowd gasped. Grandma Lara frowned. I stood on the steps, my fingers curling slightly. Ethan looked up at me. Rain soaked his hair, dripping down his brow. Elena, I was wrong. I shouldn't have taken your waiting for granted. I shouldn't have humiliated you with that ring. I shouldn't have made you back down every single time. I know it's too late to say this now, but I have to say it. His voice grew rougher. When I couldn't find you, I went back to the apartment. Your mug was gone. Your clothes were gone. The stomach medicine you kept for me in the first aid kit was gone. All the sticky notes you left on the fridge were torn off. I sat in the living room and I realized that apartment was full of you, but you'd left no trace of yourself behind. His shoulders slumped. Elena, that's when I got scared. Not angry. Scared. I was scared you really didn't want me anymore. I looked at him. The rain was loud. The silver charm chimed softly in his poem. He said, I always thought you'd never leave. You loved me so much. You'd suffered through the hard days, the all-nighters, my mother's criticism. I thought you'd never have the heart to leave. So I kept testing your limits. It's not that I didn't know how to love. I was cruel. I took advantage of your love to hurt you. The crowd went completely silent. Even Mia didn't say a word. Ethan bowed his head, his forehead pressing against the wet stone. I'm sorry. Elena, I'm so sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me right now. I just beg you not to throw me away like I'm something disgusting. His voice cracked. I'll change. I really will. I'll stay in the village as long as you want. I'll court you all over again. I'll work for the Italier for free. Just don't marry someone else. That line finally made me frown. I walked down the steps. Rain hit my silver attire, the metal cold. Ethan looked up, a flicker of hope in his eyes. I stopped in front of him. Ethan, even now you're only scared I'll belong to someone else. Not that I ever hurt. That flicker of hope died on his face. I knelt down to look at him. You say you'll change, but the first thing you begged for was, for me, not to marry someone else. You don't want to give me back to myself. You just want to take me back again. His lips trembled. That's not it is. I cut him off. You're kneeling here, looking so miserable, but all I can think about is that night in the private room you were standing. I was sitting. You handed that ring to Scarlett. You said, take it. Have fun with it. Tears rolled down Ethan's face. One drop hit the stone, washed away by the rain. I stood up. I will never forgive you, but I won't hate you forever either. I don't have time for that. Silver Harthier has the State Museum exhibition. The girls in the village have to learn their craft. My grandmother's name hangs in this hall. My paw th is long. There's no room for you on it. Ethan reached out and grabbed the hem of my apron. The silver pieces chimed under his grip. Elena looked down at his hand. Let go. He didn't let go. I pried his fingers off one by one. This time he didn't fight back. The silver charm rolled out of his palm, stopping at my feet. I didn't pick it up. I turned and walked back into the hall. The State Museum representative asked me quietly, Ms. Voss, can we start the handover? I nodded. Weakened behind me. Ethan knelt in the rain. I didn't look back. After Scarlett was sued, she came to see me one more time. She stood in the parking lot outside the village, gaunt and thin. Her carefully styled hair was messy, her eyes swollen. When she saw me, she cried first. Elena, I know I was wrong. I checked the time. You have 5 minutes. She froze. I'm already like this, and you're still being cold. I said, 4.5 minutes left. The pitiful act cracked on her face. Are you trying to ruin me? A cease and desist letter isn't a weapon. If you hadn't spread lies, it wouldn't have hurt you. She gritted her teeth. Is it wrong for me to love Ethan? Loving someone isn't wrong. Stealing my ring, spreading lies about me, paying people to harass me, that's wrong. Tears rolled down her face again. But Ethan was wrong, too. Why does he get away with it? I looked at her, who said he got away with it. She froze in the distance. Ethan's car was parked by the side of the road. He hadn't come into the village for days. He'd stand outside the village gate for a little while every day, then leave. His company was in trouble. His admission on the live stream that he'd strung me along for 7 years. Plus, the Scarlet scandal had exposed his company's PR tactics. Several partners had paused their contracts. His mother had called me from an unknown number. She'd cried the second I picked up. "Elena, I know I said terrible things before. Don't be mad at Ethan anymore. The company's in crisis. Please say something to help him." I'd listened, then said only, "You have the wrong number," then hung up. Ethan wasn't getting away with it, but his consequences weren't something I had to deliver myself. Scarlet followed my gaze. Her face grew even darker. "He won't talk to me now. My father's yelling at me. Everyone online is calling me a home wrecker. Are you happy now?" I shook my head. "You still don't get it. I don't get off on your misery. You brought this on yourself." She stared at me. "You think you're so much better than me. You just got lucky with your village legacy." I stepped forward. "Scarlet, I built this on the craft my grandmother left me. On the brand strategies I stayed up all night writing on the hands of dozens of women in this atelier. What did you build yours on?" Her face went white. I said, "On a ring someone else didn't want. On a man's favor. On a few sneaky photos. That's why you lost." She raised her hand to slap me. Before she could, someone grabbed her wrist. Archer stood beside me. "Ms. Moore, security cameras are rolling." Scarlet wrenched her hand free and stepped back. She looked at Archer, then at me, and laughed sharply. "No wonder Ethan lost. You already had a backup plan." Before I could speak, Archer said first, "Is that all you can think about?" He pulled out a file. "I'm her business partner and her friend. She doesn't need a backup plan. She is her own home." Scarlet's face went white with rage. I looked at her. 5 minutes are up. She turned and got in her car, slamming the door so hard the car shook. Archer looked down at me. "You okay?" I shook my head. "She couldn't have hit me. I meant, does hearing about Ethan bother you?" I looked at the car in the distance. Ethan sat in the driver's seat through the window. I couldn't see his face. I looked away. "No." Archer smiled. "Good." On the day of the State Museum exhibition, I took Mia and 3 silver smithing trainees to the city. There was a long line in front of the Silver Hearth theatre booth. It was Mia's first time out of the village, her palms sweaty with nerves. I squeezed her hand. "Don't be scared." She looked at me. "Ms. Voss, can I be like you someday?" I put a small silver hammer in her palm. "Don't be like me. Be like yourself." At the opening ceremony, the host called my name. "Elena Voss, new head silversmith of Silverier." Applause broke out. I walked onto the stage. Lights fell on me. I saw hundreds of faces in the crowd. I also saw Ethan standing in the back row. He didn't come forward. He was holding that old silver charm. I looked away. I spoke into the microphone. "What's the worst thing that can happen to silver? It's not fire. Fire lets it be remade. The worst thing is being left in a corner. Forgotten. Tarnished. Turned black. People are the same. Don't let yourself be tarnished." The crowd went silent. Then applause rolled over me. Wave after wave. I stood in the light, the silver pieces on my shoulders, chiming clear and bright. That night after the exhibition, Ethan waited for me outside the museum. It was raining lightly in the city. He stood under a street light holding an umbrella. This time he didn't stop me. He just walked over and handed me a brown paper bag. "These are the rest of your things from the apartment." I took it. It wasn't heavy. Inside were a few books, a scarf, and the silver hair comb box I'd kept on my nightstand. I opened it and checked. The comb was intact. Ethan said, "I didn't touch it." I nodded. "Thank you." The 2 words hung between us, polite and distant. His Adam's apple bobbed. I moved Scarlet out of the company. I cut all business ties with her family, too. I said, "That's your business." I talked to my mother. She won't bother you again. "Okay." He stared at me. "Elena, do you really have nothing else to say to me?" I held the paper bag to my chest. Rain fell outside the umbrella. the street light casting a wet glow on the ground. Ethan, there's nothing left for us to say. His grip on the umbrella tightened. I've been thinking this whole time, what if I hadn't given the ring to Scarlett that night? What if I'd proposed sooner? There are no what ifs. I cut him off. You didn't lose that night. You lost every single time. You thought I'd just swallow it and stay. He closed his eyes. The rain fell soft and steady. After a long moment, he said, I know. I'm not here to beg you to come back today. I looked at him. He pulled the old silver charm out of his pocket. I wanted to give this back to you. The charm lay in his palm. I didn't take it. I don't take back things I've given away. Can I keep it? Whatever you want. His eyes turned red again. Elena, can I still come to Silverarthier to buy things? Silverthellier is open for business. Any guest who follows the rules is welcome. I'm just a guest. I looked at him for a long moment. Yes. He smiled a little. It was a short smile, gone almost as soon as it appeared. Okay. He stepped back. Ms. Voss, the exhibition was a great success. I nodded. Thank you. He turned and walked into the rain, umbrella held high. This time he was the one who left first. But I didn't feel sad. I didn't follow. I walked toward the hotel, holding the paper bag. Archer was waiting for me at the entrance. He was holding 2 hot oat lattes with extra sugar. I took one. The paper cup burned my hand. I took a sip, the sweetness sliding down my throat. Archer didn't ask what Ethan had said. He just walked beside me. When we reached the crosswalk, he said suddenly, the State Museum asked if Silverarthier wants a long-term partnership. The terms are really good. I smiled. Take it. No strings attached this time. I'll read the contract myself. He laughed. Look at you. Head Silvermouth. I nudged him with my elbow. Shut up. When the rain stopped, we got back to the hotel. I set the paper bag on the table and took out the silver hair comb box. Tucked inside was a sticky note. It was Ethan's handwriting. Elena, I hope every person you meet from now on treats you like you deserve. I read it for a long time. Then I folded it up and threw it in the trash. I took out the silver comb, polished it clean, and fastened it in my hair. The woman in the mirror was wearing a simple white shirt. Her back straight, no ring, no faint mark on her finger, no trace of anyone else. The next morning, I took my team back to the village. At the village gate, Mia was holding a new sign waiting for me. It said, Welcome home. Head Silvermouth. Grandma Lara sat on the porch, pretending to be annoyed. All this silly nonsense. But her eyes were crinkled at the corners the whole time. I walked into Silverhearth and placed the State Museum Partnership Certificate under my grandmother's name. Sunlight streamed through the window, falling on the silver lamp. The flame flickered softly. I knelt and bowed to my grandmother. Grandma, I'm home. Outside, the silver smithing trainee called for me, chattering. Ms. Voss, are we streaming today? M. Voss, the new silver shipment's here. Ms. Voss. Mia bent the hammer. Mia yelled outside. I did not. I laughed and stood up. The silver bells on my attire chimed with me, clear and bright. I pushed open the door. Mountain wind washed over me, carrying the smell of pine, creek water, and the faint warm scent of burning silver. I'd once thought a ring would give me a home. I learned later that the door was in my own hands. The key was too. I wasn't waiting for anyone to marry me. I was already home.